LSU Odyssey in the house. Happy Friday, everybody, one and all. How was your Christmas? Ours was fantastic. It was glorious. It was a hell of a time. Um, and now, you know, right where LSU left off from right before Christmas started, just signing Patrick Payton, signing Braylon Moore, just CJ and not CJ Anderson, sorry. Just one after another of CJ Anderson, not CJ Daniels. My God, mix the two up for a second there. Just signing one after another there, just top elite players. And now LSU continue right where they left off. Someone who it seemed was going to go to Tennessee, it seemed at one point. And a lot of people high on LSU with Thompson kind of seemed, were those guys maybe a little too early on the whole thing? Were they maybe biting on that too soon, that kind of thing? Turns out, no, that this was fantastic information to begin with, that LSU were pursuing Thompson, and LSU not only pursue a highly coveted offensive lineman that LSU desperately needed, losing 4 of 5 starters going into the season. You all know this. Well, you get the number one available offensive lineman in the country, at least by the rankings. This dude's 6'5", 301 pounds, was ranked the number 2 offensive lineman in the entire Big Ten, according to Pro Football Focus last year. So, this guy is nothing to whiff at, nothing to sniff at. And LSU went hard after this guy when you're losing so much with Garrett Dellinger, Miles Frazier, not to mention your 2, junior stud first-round talent bookend tackles, Will Campbell and Emory Jones. Where do you begin to kind of look at the casualties of the offensive line? The LSU found out they really need the most help at the interior O-line. And so go and get Josh Thompson, huge, big-time pickup. And it's really just adding another piece to the puzzle that LSU needed. Whether Thompson becomes a day one starter, a week in, week out starter or not, someone like that practicing, day in, day out against Paul Mubanga, these type of guys, it's going to enrich their abilities as well. It's going to strengthen the room, which is why it was strange LSU never pursued a center, last year, to kind of push DJ Chester to that next level at the start of this season. It made no sense. So it was great that we got Braylon Moore, and now you bring in Josh Thompson from Northwestern. Huge pickups. And then news that broke today. Finally broke today. We've been teasing this story since November 19th, as we will show you right here. We have not only been teasing it, we've been really giving the details of this whole thing. Okay? This is an article we put out November 19th. Subscriber box. Transfer whispers. Perkins staying or going. Question marks. Ooh. But then if you read what we wrote, there is no question marks. We wrote, and keep in mind, everybody, this is November 19th. Let's get this up there on the screen bigger. In the immediate aftermath of his torn ACL during Week 4, much was made about whether Harold Perkins Jr. would return for a junior season do-over. Although due to the mid-season rise of Whit Weeks and the improvement seen from Blake Baker's defense, that talk died down for the public. However, LSU Odyssey never dropped the story. Right now, I'm hearing Harold Perkins is nearing a conclusion. regarding his 2025 decision, whether to prepare for the NFL draft while he undergoes rehab on his ACL, while likely dropping from an expected first rounder to a third or even fourth round pick if he does declare, or stay at LSU for one more go-round in order to solidify his status as one of the game's most versatile and must-see defenders. The next paragraph says, right now, looking at those factors, you'd think the prudent decision would be to stay, although we saw Mason Smith leave for the league and get rewarded with a second-round pick selection. Still, it's a very different scenario for Perkins. With all of these factors, plus some other sourcing, it's leading me to believe he will return. Although I'm yet to confirm that 100%. LSU Odyssey will have more on that impending decision soon. And we continued to supply you with that story throughout the weeks until it's built up to just, hey, all that's left is for him to announce. A few days ago, we posted breaking Harold Perkins expected to return. And Harold, all he had to do was just make it, make it official, man. Announce, bro. And he did. Thank God Harold Perkins did. And really, it's just like, it would be a very difficult move, in my opinion, just to see Harold Perkins go into that NFL draft coming back from an ACL like that. It's just nuts. It's just nuts, in my opinion. It wouldn't have been prudent. It wouldn't have been a smart move at all. It wouldn't have been good for him to do. It's just, it's something that really, I'm just so glad that he decided to stay, because it's not only great for LSU as a program, obviously, that's abundantly clear, having someone of his powers. LSU lost 3 games in a row to Texas A&M, Alabama, and Florida without Harold Perkins for a reason, despite how great Whit Weeks is, leading the SEC in solo tackles, putting up 113 tackles in the country. Whit Weeks was an animal. But you see that it's 11 people on a field for a reason. It's a team defense. They needed Harold Perkins' speed and Whit Weeks and Greg Penn III to clean up from his aggression against those type of opponents. You didn't have him in those games. You didn't have speed to counter the speed that you were facing, and it was over. Harold Perkins is a quarterback spy. Harold Perkins is in coverage, shutting down Luther Burden, one of the best receivers in the country, who had already put up just under 100 yards in the first quarter and then eclipsed 100 yards going into the second. Harold Perkins picked him up starting in that second quarter and shut him down for the rest of that game, held him to 2 catches for 4 yards, 0 touchdowns. Oh yeah, and I forgot. Harold Perkins had the sickest interception of his career in that game. A big time interception in that game that really turned the tide. Harold Perkins returning to LSU for another year under Blake Baker's tutelage is just a brilliant thing. You didn't think you'd be able to get that. You thought there'd just be one season of Harold Perkins. And, 4 games, okay. 2 TFLs, 17 combined tackles, 1 fumble recovery. But there was a lot missing to his game because of what they were doing. They didn't really realize how to use him correctly. And he's not a linebacker. He's not, at least not in the traditional sense. And trying to force him to be a linebacker in the traditional sense is insanity. And I don't understand why that was ever a part of the plan regarding Harold Perkins. I understand why people were bullish about it, trying to back the coaches and, hey, Harold Perkins, how dare you say that he should play star and not linebacker? You're basically telling the coaches how to coach, blah blah blah. Well, people were shitting on me for saying that. How dare you say that he should play star? And turns out we were right about that. And then it became he should have been playing star the whole time. It's kind of funny how that type of stuff works. Of course, I must credit the news, by the way. Josh Thompson, that story, broken by Shea Dixon of On3. Fantastic work there by Shea Dixon getting that news. And also, he didn't just go posting an RPM, like an expert prediction. Josh Thompson is coming. Josh Thompson, as Shea Dixon wrote, requested that he not do that, and he didn't. That speaks to his integrity, and that type of stuff is rare in this business. So huge kudos to Shea, who's just one of the best doing it. Breaks that news, but I really, as much as I wanted to kind of tease both stories and then kind of go deep dive into both, I want to start with Harold Perkins and continue with Harold Perkins because this is a guy that LSU has not found a way to maximize yet. How do you get the best out of Harold Perkins? How do you, take all of these varying, incredible abilities, put them under one hat, and get him to be that defensive weapon, all-encompassing defensive weapon that you witnessed for most of his freshman year, and at times in a very underrated season last year. 164 tackles total for Harold in two seasons and a fourth. You can't really even count that as a full season last year. 2 1/4 seasons. He's got 164 tackles, 28 TFLs, 13 sacks. And 13 sacks while he's like, more are right there. It's not happening because he wasn't playing enough as a freshman, and then in 2023, really poor defensive scheme from Matt House. And then sometimes, Harold wasn't playing as well as he should have. 2 key interceptions, one to seal the game against Auburn. Greg Brooks Jr. also had another pick to kind of later really seal the game, but Harold's was like a huge one that like first gave us the chance to go retake that lead. 7 pass breakups, 7 forced fumbles, 3 which led the SEC in last season. Last season, in a season when people were criticizing him, he had more tackles than he did as a freshman. Sacks were down by just 2, which, there's a difference there, but it's not much. He still had 5.5 sacks while playing out of position as a traditional linebacker, basically. Still had 1 key interception and played his ass off in coverage, 5 pass breakups, 3 forced fumbles, leading the country, and only down from 1 from his traditional brilliant, uncanny freshman season with 4 forced fumbles. Harold Perkins, from number 40 to number 4 to number 7. Why is Harold Perkins not able to hit that optimum level at LSU, and what can Blake Baker do now? And then what can he do in spring, and what can he do this offseason going into week one where we will not just see the same old movie again. Because we've seen this thing happen a few times now. I think we might experiment with him. I think we might experiment with putting him here, putting him there, doing this and that. A lot of talk in the off-season pulpit, and you see these quotes flying everywhere. They're going to do this with Harold Perkins. They're going to creative Harold Perkins. They're going to do, and then they suddenly get very bullish about him playing linebacker, and he's going to be a linebacker. Okay, he's going to be a linebacker at the next level. This is to prepare him for the next level, and you hear stuff like that. And you start to wonder, this has been a few different guys now. Matt House, Blake Baker had only a quarter of a year, but the results we were seeing were heading for Harold's worst season in an LSU uniform. And that's not to sugarcoat anything. And that's not to say it was all his fault or all on him. But there were some moments where he wasn't playing up to his abilities. There were some moments where teammates maybe didn't allow him to be as aggressive, because it was either Harold or it was Witt on the field, which was another big stupid no from our defense, our defensive coaching staff. Why did you not understand that Weeks and Harold Perkins on the field together was like a freight train that was unstoppable, just bouncing on the track, coming, just barreling down the mountain at you, a freight train that was unstoppable. Harold Perkins and Whit Weeks for a string of games in 2023, when we had a really bad defense, they were starting to get things together and starting to make things look a lot better. And then that thing got torn to shreds when Omar Spates came back healthy. And so my point is that you've got to make sure you have the right lineup here on the field to actually unleash this kid. And luckily, Whit Weeks has played himself into a starting role where that just isn't possible, where he'll be demoted anymore. Luckily, he's nullified the coaching decision there. Whit Weeks and Harold will be coexisting on the field, which is great because it's worked before. I've seen them get the best out of each other. I've seen Witt unlock and unleash Harold and Greg Penn III, both in ways that those guys weren't playing, levels those guys weren't playing at previously. So obviously, you're going to see Whit Weeks, Harold Perkins on the field together. Devon Keys would probably be that third guy. If there's a third, like a linebacker, or if they're just going with two still in that lineup. But here's the thing. Forget about putting Harold Perkins at linebacker, for Christ's sake. I've started to hear it again. Well, is he going to play? No. You need to just play him at star. This has been my feelings the entire time. And when Blake Baker came, especially, I'm like, this is a guy who runs that defense. He has no excuses not to use this guy in that position. He used Major Burns there instead. That's not going to age well. I'm telling you. Harold Perkins at the star position could have changed last season in a variety of ways for LSU. And maybe they would have gotten there. Maybe after a UCLA game, he gets through that injury-free. Maybe they start to figure things out. Because the defense did just start to get on a roll, but many attributed it to, we don't need Harold Perkins. We got Whit Weeks. We don't need Harold Perkins. Some stupid fans are saying stuff like that. It was really outrageous, because it's like, I kept reminding them, hey, we're playing UCLA. Hey, we're playing Northwestern State. Hey, we're playing this team or whatever. Just wait until we're playing the real meat of the schedule until you kind of say we don't need Harold Perkins or whatever. That's kind of ridiculous to say. And you saw that type of thinking just get annihilated when LSU get destroyed by Marcel Reed, Texas A&M. LSU's defense were suffocating Connor Wakeman, just strangling that dude in the first quarter. Sorry, the first half. The dude had no chance against LSU's defense that night. Nothing going. They put on Marcel Reed, and he crisps LSU's. He just cooks LSU's defense. And then everyone started to understand, yeah, maybe we needed Harold Perkins' speed tonight. Shit. Wow. Yeah, you think? You think you needed the most dynamic athlete in the country? Whether he's underperforming or not, that kid can flip that switch. And that's what I'm excited to see with Harold Perkins, is him flipping that switch again and going back to the way he used to play, where he would just attack the moment, have the freedom, have the space, have the ability, mostly be surrounded by the talent, and to have the freedom to be able to do this type of stuff. I can trust Whit Weeks to come clean that up behind me if I don't fully get the guy. If I just get like a big pressure and I don't get the sack, is that guy going to get 15 yards rushing out of the pocket there? Or is Whit Weeks going to be able to come up there, fly up there, and smash him after 2 yards? Yeah, Whit Weeks is going to be able to do that. Devon Keys be able to do that. C.J. Ross, incoming freshman, I think he'd be able to do that as well if called upon. Harold Perkins is going to be surrounded by the right people. But here's the thing. LSU have to get the safety position correct here. And I've heard a few whispers of Harold Perkins could play safety. Harold Perkins could be this one, lining up at safety, so then they don't have to take a number from the linebackers. You know what I'm saying? Like, you basically take a number from the linebackers, have Harold at star, and then you only have 2 linebackers. So then you have 2 safeties, 2 corners, and then you got Harold at star, and then you got 2 linebackers. Well, they're thinking, what if we, instead of doing that, we could just keep 3 linebackers potentially on the field and put Harold as like a strong safety and let him come up and attack the backfield and all the stuff that a strong safety traditionally does. But he doesn't have to be a traditional strong safety. In order to do that, they need a free safety who can cover at the back end like nobody's business and has the range, has the height as well to do that. There's a few targets that I'm not allowed to say any names. I've been told a few names that I'm not I'm not 100% sure on some of these names, but I've been told a few of these names that I'm kind of like, that's an impressive target for LSU. Oh, that guy? Okay. That's a guy I could see holding his own weight in an LSU uniform. That's a guy I could see becoming some type of freak in purple and gold, becoming his own player. But here's the thing, everybody. It's not easy to do. We saw Jordan Gilbert, who everyone thought was going to be a knockout home run transfer. Aaron Anderson, we saw him come into this program. Everyone thought, oh, he's going to be, if not a number 1 receiver, he's going to be a number 2 or number 3, like huge slot weapon, return guy, like a big time player that first year with Jaden Daniels, in Jaden Daniels' senior year with Malik and Brian. And that did not happen. Point is, it took a while. It took some time. But you hang in there. And at LSU, it seems for some weird, crazy reason, it's almost antithetical to the type of program LSU has and the type of talent they have there and the type of unlimited, reloading of a roster that they have going on there. Like, there's always top players at LSU, always NFL players at LSU, but like the fact that you almost get rewarded for your patience at that program again and again and again is anything but coincidental. It does not just belong to one coach or staff either. It's a running thread at LSU, a running theme. You've seen it with a variety of players, from Matt Flynn to a Garrett Nussmeier. Even if Miles Brennan couldn't fulfill that, getting injured, his patience was rewarded as well. So Harold Perkins coming back for another year at LSU, when, yeah, he could have gone to the draft. He could have signed and been like a third round, fourth round pick. Someone would have drafted him. But that's not how to do it. That's not how to go to the NFL. And like, his stock was not at its highest. It was not a good situation for him to go. If he played at LSU and say he gets roughed up and then they go to the draft, it's the same situation as right now. So he has everything to gain, nothing really to lose here. Because Harold Perkins is still a superstar potential player. He's shown you everything that he can do on the football field. And here's the thing, though. He's only shown you flashes of it. He's only scratched the surface. I truly believe that Harold Perkins has more levels to his game, that we just have to find the right place to play him. Is it strong safety? And you have that free safety who comes over in cover one and is like, you have to find that super freak free safety who can really cover the back end in the portal. You've got to find that guy. Like, that's the situation. Can you close and get this dude? Because Jordan Gilbert not going to be able to do that. It's You like what LSU have done with the cornerback situation. You love it. You like what we've done with the edge, retooling the edge after Braden Swinson, Savion Jones leave. But you don't like where the safety position is at. You still don't. And LSU have had bad safeties for some time here. Some time. I mean, people can shit on him all they want, but current Ole Miss safety who just barely transferred from LSU, Sage Ryan, was one of the better safeties, probably the best safety at LSU in the last few years. And LSU have been bankrupt at that position. Bankrupt. Giving up huge plays in the running game, huge plays in the passing game. It's been nothing short of despicable what's gone on at the safety position. And it's been a variety of coaching staffs. It's been a variety of safety coaches. It's been bewildering how LSU, an institution that used to have, Craig Steltz, Brandon Taylor, Eric Reed, you don't think of Tyrann Mathieu quite as a safety, but I guess we could throw him in there somewhat. Jamal Adams. I mean, you had so many just freakish safeties at LSU. Grant Delpit, of course. Thorpe Winter. It's just LSU. The list goes on and on. LaRon Landry is the greatest safety in LSU history, and I think Craig Steltz, number 2. But there's still the list just goes on and on and on and on and on. Let me find. There was a. There was a player who was. Oh my God. Casanova. Yes, Tommy Casanova. who was All-American twice, as alongside Grant Delpit, who was also an All-American twice. He was another electric LSU safety. Interesting. So point is, LSU have this rich history at the safety position. Yes, they've got to go clean that up and really bolster that position to make Harold Perkins' return matter. Because Harold Perkins can be a superstar all he wants at the star position, but if you have a pair of safeties that aren't worth a damn, you're still going to be in trouble. LSU must figure out the safety position. And from what I've been told, they are closing in on at least one answer to that safety question. We will have more on that soon. We've got a shit ton of comments. Let's get to some of these comments. Kyle Skeens, Lon the Goat. Thank you, brother. That's humbling for you to even say that. Kyle the Goat. Thank you, brother. My attempt to tie my hair back didn't really work. Kind of keeps sticking out stupidly. I need to get a haircut. But Mike Prima says, "What up, Lon? Enjoy watching, bro." Mike, I hope my good sir, thank you for watching, my man. I hope every time you watch this, you come away with something that you did not know, a piece of information. Someone coming to the school, hey, I didn't know this guy was coming to school, or this guy just signed, or this guy's about to sign, or I hope you come away with something that maybe you didn't know every time you watch this show. That is my hopeful goal. Mike, you're an absolute badass. You're always tuning in. You're always commenting. And seriously, man, thank you for the support, brother. I hope you had an amazing... Sorry, I almost dropped the F-bomb. I hope you had an amazing Christmas, brother. Aaron McKenzie says, any news on Jacoby Matthews, Lon? You know what? You are not the only person who's asked me about Jacoby Matthews. Who was that? Keith Henderson was asking me about Jacoby Matthews and what's going on with Jacoby Matthews. And I was like, I really thought that he was going to be one of the first Tigers out of the gate to LSU, right? But it appears that maybe there isn't as much interest. Maybe the year off that he took could be an issue. And maybe they want him to go to junior college for a year or somewhere else for a year before he comes to LSU. I don't know. I would take him. I would load up the safety position right now, not just with two guys, but with, 3 or 4 options. Safety position, you lost so much talent for the future with Kylan Jackson. You wasted 2 full seasons of eligibility of Kylan Jackson's. Just wasted. I feel bad for the kid, really, more than LSU losing him or some shit. We wasted 2 years of that kid's eligibility. What were we thinking? You got Javian Toviano, who really could be that star safety this season. Could he be that superstar safety? Is Toviano the guy? Maybe Toviano Perkins together, or Toviano somebody else, and then Perkins at star. There's many things you can do here. You could put Perkins at strong safety and experiment with that. You could put Perkins at star, experiment with that. You could put Perkins at a pseudo outside linebacker edge role for certain packages. And you know what? You should experiment and you should utilize all of the above. That's when Harold Perkins is at his best. When he's moving around the field in different formations and you have no clue where the best defender, most dynamic athlete on the field, when he's at his best, where he is next and what he's going to do next. And that nothing is more dangerous. Nothing incites more fear in an opponent. And we've seen this with Harold Perkins. Nothing incites more fear with quarterbacks than when they cannot tell where Harold Perkins is coming from. Because he is you heard about the Cuban Missile Crisis, right? 1962, Kennedy barely stops at the last second, the Cuban Missile Crisis. Harold Perkins is a human missile crisis. This dude is flying around like an absolute freak. A festival of violence. And you know what? I watching him play at his best, at his majestic best, is something to witness. And 13 sacks, career sacks, doesn't even scratch the surface for how many attempts it seems he's had, how many opportunities he's created in the backfield, how many times he's blown plays up. And that's the type of player he is. Stats can't really quantify his greatness. And so you hope there is no waiting around for this injury. You hope that he's just back 100% ready to go. You don't know if that's going to be the way that it's going to be. Is he going to have to be kind of brought along week to week? Is that the scenario we're looking at here? You know, maybe the first of the season, he's not playing as much. That could be something with Harold Perkins. But I know your question was about Jacoby Matthews, but man, I just haven't heard anything about it yet. You know, I've asked him directly, Jacoby, and he hasn't replied. And he was talking a lot to me. He was sounding really excited about, you know, coming back and playing in the game of football because he had missed out because of the timing of his transfer. And you thought without him moving to another conference and all that stuff, and it seemed like he wanted to stay in the SEC. It felt like LSU was the logical option, and it was very weird that he did not make it to LSU so far. But here's the thing. Don't rule that out. LSU still are going to go after at least 2-3 players, and I think they should go after more than that. I think they should go after 5-6. Like, load up. There's more spots now than ever on the scholarship list. Use them up. And I think Jacoby Matthews for me would be a take, but here's the thing. There's certain things that we don't see on a day-to-day basis that maybe the coaches see, maybe other players see. And so maybe we don't know exactly how that situation is unfolding. Did JEJ get his 7th year? Who's JEJ? Remind me who that stands for. Who's JEJ? I'm still confused. Oh, John Emery Jr. John Emery Jr. I believe John Emery Jr.'s medical year would be on the table. Like That's not even a question. Like, that's not even a question at this point. Like, he would get that. He would absolutely get that on the table. Aaron McKenzie says, when I think of Perk, I see traces of Troy Polamalu. And here's the thing, Troy Polamalu was so fun to watch, but I don't see it really. I mean, here's the thing. Actually, take that back. When Troy would attack the backfield, when he would attack the line of scrimmage, that's when I see the most um, comparison with him and Harold Perkins. Harold Perkins is, of course, a lot bigger. But here's the thing, Harold Perkins, I don't think I really just think the last thing you want to do with this kid is try and make him into one thing. And I know there's like, jack of all trades, master of none, there's that kind of talk, that, and there's some validity to stuff like that, to sayings like that. There's a reason they're sayings. But as far as Harold Perkins, you want him to be in a Tyrann Mathieu-esque situation where he can just attack, and just, kind of go with his instincts. That's what you want from Harold Perkins, because that's when he's at his best. And so Troy Polamalu, Aaron, you're right on the money, because Troy would do that, and he had the freedom to do that because he had Ryan Clark, former LSU Tiger, at the back end, locking it down, doing the dirty work just in coverage, making sure no one could throw over the top. And so their hesitation, they're looking downfield, they see Ryan Clark all over it, and the corner's in a good position. Shit, what am I going to do? And by that time, Troy Polamalu has them dead. And that's why you saw Polamalu get so many strip sacks, cause so much havoc, is there was such brilliant coverage all over the field. And that's why I was saying we absolutely have to have someone at free safety who is elite. LSU deserved that. LSU's deserved something brilliant at the safety position for a long time here. Every season, it's not an entitlement thing. It's an entitlement LSU has created and earned, forged through a tradition of not just the greatest safety play, but untouchable safety play. There's only one safety I can think of who did not play at LSU who I thought that guy could be a Tiger, and that was Sean Taylor. Or sorry, no, actually there's two. Ed Reed, of course. But Sean Taylor, my God, that dude should have been a Tiger. Ed Reed should have been a Tiger, man. But LaRon Landry, Craig Stelz, Grant Delpit, Jamal Adams, Tommy Casanova. I mean, this is a legacy of greatness at the safety position for LSU. And I don't know if that is the best place to put Perkins, or if you do something else with Perkins. If you keep him at star, so then he can kind of do both. He'd basically be an auxiliary nickel. He'd basically be called into coverage, and then he'd also be able to attack the backfield. But here's what they did against Major Burns. Against Major Burns, and I was saying it all offseason, guys, why is he being a star? Because you're all saying, oh, I don't want Major Burns in coverage. If we put him at star, he won't be in coverage. It's like, yes, he will. theoretically, you want him to attack the backfield, and he's in a free type of role, right? Well, not when the offense comes out lined up with a guy in the slot and a tight end right over him, forcing him into coverage. Like literally forcing him into coverage against his will. So my worry is if he's at star and star only, they just keep lining a guy up in the slot, a dangerous receiver in the slot, and make Harold cover him. And that way, okay, you cover him. Now we use him as a decoy. I throw it somewhere else, and now I have more time to throw because we don't have to worry about Harold Perkins because he's tied up in coverage. I know exactly where he is. Like those are some things I worry about, and that's why we need safeties who can cover. That's why we need safeties who can tackle. That's why we need 2, 3 really damn good safeties in the portal, and I think that's the position that you must load up on here to finish off this transfer portal hunt. Yeah. This December transfer portal hunt that LSU have been on. Oh, I love that. I'd love to see Aaron and Jared loving it up in the chat. Aaron just moved to Texas with his wife, and he's getting acclimated to things. Interesting. Well, I wonder if was it snow? Did it snow, Aaron, or was there any was it actually cold, or was it just kind of this weird kind of mild Texas thing? This is cool. Jared Addison and Aaron McKenzie absolutely having a good time here in the chat. This is exactly what I want to see. You guys having connections, human connection, baby. H-Town Creole says, there's only one Harold Perkins. He's no safety or star position. These LSU greats are Troy Polamalu, who never rushed the quarterback as a defensive lineman. All these great safeties never played DE. Okay, no one's saying they did. What are you talking about, man? I guess you're trying to say Harold should just be an edge rusher or a defensive lineman or something? Because I'm trying to understand what you're saying, but I think you misspelled a few things. Maybe not misspelled, but left a word out or something at a key spot that's making me not understand it, H-Town Creole. But I'm trying to understand what you said. I think what you're trying to say is that I'm not sure. I don't want to speak for you, but it seems like, oh, okay, that's what I wanted. He says Perkins is a linebacker. No, he's not. H-Town Creole. Is that your argument? Okay. He says at first there's only one Harold Perkins. He's no safety or star position. These LSU greats are Troy Polamalu, never rushed the quarterback as a defensive lineman. All of those great safeties never played DE. Perkins is a linebacker. Bro, he is not. He is not a linebacker. He's not a linebacker. No way. H-Town Creole is on the Harold Perkins must play linebacker train, and I must say, H-Town Creole, I disagree vehemently. In fact, I'm angry. I'm angry with you, H-Town Creole. How dare you, sir? I would wish to admonish you here publicly, to castigate you here publicly in front of the entire world. And mind you, I did not say castrate; I said castigate. This I love when people take that type of stuff seriously. Where I'm like, "How dare you, sir?" And then someone's like, "Oh, I'm sorry." I'm like, "Oh shit, this is through text." But still, even through text, how are you falling for that? Like, come on. Perkins is not a linebacker, bro. Perkins is not a linebacker. I think this season showed it. And I understand what you're saying. Maybe you're trying to say, hey, he's not a linebacker in the way that they did it. They sucked at the way they did it. They had him in the middle, blah, 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 blah. I don't know. Maybe you think he's a middle linebacker. He's not. He gets caught up in the wash. Even if he gained weight, he would still get caught up in the wash. And here's the thing. If he gains weight, then he's going to lose it. Just that little bit of that extra sauce on his speed. I don't want that. He doesn't need to gain 20, 30 pounds going into this season. 10 pounds, okay. 15 pounds, okay. I'm okay with that. I think he needs that. But he does not need to become something he isn't. Let him, he doesn't have to, okay, let's make him a Tyrann Mathieu type of player. Oh, let's make him a this type. He can be almost like a Caleb Chason, and then a Tyrann Mathieu who's actually got some height to him. And so you've got these two just chaos-causing, love to blitz off the edge, yes, but just as effective blitzing through the inside. And you've got this dude who has all these versatile powers. You have to figure out how to utilize him at his best. And really, call it the star position. Call it the blah, 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 blah. In this position, it's basically just got to be a free positionless role for Harold Perkins where, all right, we're not going to try and force this. You just attack. We're going to call the plays. We're going to call the formations, call the coverages. You are just going to basically read these plays and attack. And then we're going to have two linebackers behind whose responsibility has a lot to do with covering your ass at times too. Moving into spots maybe you would be. And that's why like Devon Keys being so good in coverage. You know, say for example, Perkins is in that star position. He's going to blitz off the edge. And then they motion some guy over there to force Harold into coverage. Then you bring Keys down right at the last second pre-snap and then still blitz Perkins off the edge. So, and you have the ability to do that because Keys is good enough in coverage. And then you got Whitweek's speed that can actually cover that much ground if he's on his own on an island over the middle. That is the way to do it. Aaron McKenzie says, Perkins, oh God, we got a debate going here. How can I load this one up? Perkins is not a linebacker. There we go. Perkins is not a linebacker. H.M. Corral says, Kevin Falk is my younger cousin, so I have seen players for real. Man, I'm not saying you haven't. And that's the thing about Louisiana. You never know because almost everybody, it seems, has some type of NFL connections. It's crazy how many Louisiana guys have gone to the NFL. But at the same time, he's not a linebacker. You can be wrong in football still. H-Town Crayola says, difference between Witt and Harold is Witt has great instincts. Perkins is very athletic. He will figure it out. You know, Perkins has great instincts too. It's just he was in positions where he couldn't quite act on those instincts, maybe. Or actually, no, definitely. And there were a lot of moments, stretches of times where, especially this last season, where it's the first four games that he played, where Harold looked almost lost on the field, anonymous for the first time in his LSU career, made very little impact. That was very hard to watch. That was very hard to see. As an LSU diehard, that was very tough to see. LSU will face off against Baylor in the Texas Bowl on December 31st, New Year's Eve, 1 p.m. That's 1 p.m. Mountain Time, 2 p.m. Central kickoff. And you've got LSU versus Dave Aranda's Baylor. How about that? You've got a return to LSU versus Dave Aranda in Houston. That, to me, is going to be very interesting to watch. How LSU are going to be able to retool that offensive line. It's going to be a preview for next season. Let's be real here. You've got, Tyree Adams is going to play a lot. Okay. You're going to see Tyree Adams, I think, at either that left or right tackle spot. Bo Bordelon is someone you could see a lot in this game. It's going to be very, very strange to see LSU's offensive line without Will Campbell, without Emory Jones for the first time in 3 years, without Garrett Dellinger for the first time in 4, without Miles Frazier for the first time in 3. You can't just buy offensive line chemistry in the portal either. So LSU are going to have to figure this out really hardcore this offseason. You're going to see something special out of Brad Davis if he's got it. There's so many people who question the shit out of Brad Davis this offseason and during this season. Is Brad, we couldn't run the ball. Is Brad Davis the problem? It seems like these guys haven't developed. Is Brad Davis the problem? Is Brad Davis the problem? And I'm keep thinking, this guy gets every top offensive lineman, not only on campus, but he signs most of these guys. Why would we want to let this guy go, even if he couldn't develop? Like, just get someone like an under assistant who could. But the thing that's so stupid is that Brad Davis absolutely can develop. Why do you think Will Campbell and Emory Jones were so damn good? They were great before they came to LSU. I get that. Why do you think they continued in that vein and never dipped in form, but only got better and better and better and put up crazy numbers, actually? Legendary, iconic numbers, really. Some of how long they went without allowing sacks and things like that. It's crazy. And that's Brad Davis helping that make that happen. Sorry, stuttering. But you're going to see a new offensive line from LSU. And it's going to be interesting because Baylor, I don't know much about this Baylor team. I will admit. But Dave Aranda's defense is going to maybe not attack you as much as they're going to cerebrally beat you. They're going to try and not even pressure or create chaos for Garrett Nussmeier to force him into mistakes. They're going to try and outthink, and mix up these crazy coverages, mix up the formations, mix up the alignments. You're going to see all sorts of weird shit that's going to mess with Nussmeier at different moments. And is Nussmeier going to be able to, whoa, I haven't seen this before. Can I, figure this out and dissect this? I think you're going to see Nuss be able to dissect it and drop some dots on Baylor anyway. But still, what we know from this Baylor team, this Baylor team will attack you at random. And you will not see it coming because they do play such a weird defense. Well, that's the thing. Baylor, let's put this on the screen here. This is great. This is great. This is just a highlight reel of Baylor's 2024 defense. Why the hell did I not find this when I was trying to like focus on their defense doing film study for this? That's strange. I wish I had found this. Um, I had to dig for all these type of things. But Baylor's defense, it reminded me a lot of the 2019 LSU defense in a lot of ways. Bend, don't break at times, opportunistic, making plays, but they're playing. Look at the talent they're playing. Tarleton State, like it's not even. I mean, are these highlights even worth watching? Because they're going to be playing LSU. That's going to be a whole different type of proposition. My point is they're going to blitz a lot less than you're going to think. There's been a lot of these other teams that have attacked Garrett Nussmeier at will. You're not going to see that as much. You're going to see them kind of hang in there and dissect it and then attack. Kind of read and react defense. And that could be something that could really, because here's the thing, when you blitz gung-ho against Nussmeier and leave open spaces that he identifies, he has the arm to make you pay. So, and he's proven at times when he's identified it and recognized the possibilities, his legs have been able to make teams pay. But when you seem to have guys dropping in, fake blitzing, dropping into coverage at the last second, all this crazy shifting formations, all this stuff, these twisting, these stunts, you just saw that defensive line. Watch how this defensive line goes at Travis Wilson here. Really solid in coverage. Allows this to happen. Great motor on that defensive line from Baylor. A blocked, see, look at that. Blocked punt. I mean, these guys create a lot of havoc, a lot of hell. And this is why this is just our first preview of this game. We're going to get even more further into this, and we're going to come out with one more final preview and prediction before the game. Which, shit. What's today? It's the 27th. Holy crap. So, what day is that game on? Is it like this next Monday, right? Let's see. The game's on Tuesday. So this coming Tuesday will be that game. Crazy. Friday night. This coming Tuesday will be this game between LSU and Baylor. So it's coming up fast. LSU are already going to be wearing purple, they've announced. Very strange. It's going to be purple versus a team that wears yellow and green. Going to be weird color schemes to look at, but who cares? LSU, Baylor returned with Dave Miranda. That's going to be very interesting game. But LSU, they've got to win this thing. Baylor have a hungry defense. Baylor opportunistic. They cause turnovers. They cause havoc. But this Baylor team, 8-4 in the Big 12 against a team that, had an up and down bound, topsy-turvy year in the SEC, same record, 8-4. The talent that, yes, LSU have lost going into this game, Mason Taylor's not there, Will Campbell's not there, Emory Jones isn't there, Braden Swinson. Is Braden Swinson playing in that game? Yes, Braden Swinson is playing in the game. Braden Swinson is playing in the game. Forgot, my bad. You've got all this. You've lost a lot. It's going to be a new chapter in LSU. And here's the thing, it's just like the 2019 defense, too. I'm not comparing the defenses at all. I'm just comparing them like in profile, in style. Baylor's leading sacker has 4 sacks this season, Matt Jones. That's ridiculous. Just 4 sacks. Just 4 sacks. That's the leader. Their leader in TFLs has 10 TFLs. Their leader in interceptions, they got 2 guys who have 3 picks. They've actually scored a defensive touchdown. Only 6 fumble recoveries. Only 7 forced fumbles. This is a defense. Oh my God, is that Josh White from who used to play at LSU, who plays for Baylor? I believe that is. Yes, it is. LSU, a return against LSU for Josh White. A return for Josh White. Remember Josh White, everybody? Class of 2021, I believe, right? Or no, it was 2020. There we go. Class of 2020. He doesn't even play in 2021. And then goes to Baylor. And look at that. Kind of steadily grows. Ooh, only played in 4 games. Maybe he got hurt. God, that's the only thing I hate about this site, about Sports Reference. Anyway, we'll get more into this game in this final preview that we're going to do for the Texas Bowl. We're going to get into the real deep dive of this game. Because LSU are going to say goodbye to some top players. Josh Williams, final game. Miles Frazier's final game. It's going to be a hot and heavy emotional moment. See some of these comments and then we'll what the hell happened to the comments? Come on. Jared Addison says, I'll be working, probably miss 2 hours of the LSU game. Damn. Well, I'm sure I can find a link to that game. And if I find a link to that game to stream it, I will post it on this site. If I do, check it. And if you want to watch that game and you can't find it, go to LSUODYSSEY.com on the day of the game before kickoff or right at kickoff, because I'm going to have to find a link, It's going to have to be starting basically at the first minute or two for me to find a link. We can post that. H-Town Crayola says, can't wait to see the new O-line because they are highly rated in time to put up or shut up. Well, he didn't say the last part, but he said, but you know what he's meaning. Yes, a ton of highly talented guys, and I want to see them really prove it. Really see how good these guys are. And this is a game to find that out. Because if LSU need even more help in the offensive line, in the offensive line room, then some of the rankings for some of these guys are way off. Because some of these guys should be able to step in there and be the next, not Will Campbell or Emory Jones, but at least be the next dude who's going to hold their own and become a starter for LSU and kick some ass to the offensive line position. And it seems like we have the personnel to do that, in my opinion. It really does. I think I'm worried about offensive line still, just because of its intrinsic, inherent importance. But I'm almost worried about the safety position more. You know, just because we haven't gotten anybody. Like, it's just like, oh, Jesus. I mean, Javian Toviano can really solve a lot there, though. Javian Toviano. So, okay, some young guys on the offensive line that LSU are going to find out how good they are. Okay, I'm going to go through the list. Kyrie Lee, 6'6", 300, freshman this year. Kimo Macchianoli, who I don't know where his future lies, former defensive line, former offensive line, current defensive tackle. Never mind. Sorry. I can't even keep it straight where the hell Kimo Macchianoli is playing anymore nowadays. My God, my bad. Paul Mubenga is someone who he started to get better. I liked how Paul Mubenga played against Oklahoma. But then you saw Paul Mubenga against Alabama, and it was one of the worst games I've ever seen from a guard playing for LSU. But you saw some immediate improvement, and there had to be some, obviously. But Oklahoma still had a good defense, and Mubenga stepped up. That must be just credited. It must be said. You're going to have Miles Frazier for one more game, this last game. Tyree Adams is going to be a starting left tackle for you. Ethan Callaway, a young freshman offensive tackle. Where does he fit? Weston Davis is that offensive tackle who might be. Could he be that starting right tackle? Is he the starting left tackle? Weston Davis, Tyree Adams, I think those two could be the bookends wherever they play, to left or right. So keep that in mind. Weston Davis, Tyree Adams, your next bookend tackles at LSU. Keep that in mind. Weston Davis, Tyree Adams, your next bookend tackles at LSU. Ori Williams could be another offensive tackle candidate. I mean, 6'8", 334. Jesus. Cohen Eccles is someone who's, he's able to at least compete at the center position. We know that. Can he play it? They didn't give him any reps. DJ Chester played every single rep there. And you know what? It's Chester's position, but you have to give some type of challenge to this kid from the outside. Hey, here's someone trying to at least take your job. Like, push him to his absolute best. Jared Addison says, maybe they just couldn't run block. The new guys may be awesome at it, but are iffy on pass block. That would be terrible, because you can teach run blocking. You cannot teach pass blocking. It seems like pass blocking is so much more of you have to just be almost natural at this. You have to have this in a way. And it seems like run blocking you can pick up. Anyway, everybody, you have a hell of a Friday, an amazing weekend coming up. Check out LSUODYSSEY.com. We're going to be having our continued top 10 Tigers of 2024 list. Just continuing to go with that. We are at number 8. We are done with that article. It is coming out tonight at some point, so look out for that. And then we'll continue with number 7 as well, and number 6 and all that, of course. So on and so forth with that countdown. But LSU are having some interesting conversations with a few safety targets. As soon as we can report those type of things, we will. And if we don't report it, it's because we were told no. We're going to announce this ourselves. Sorry, back off. So don't attack me. Everybody, LSUODYSSEY.com. Subscribe today. Thank you very much, everybody, for watching, and have an awesome weekend. But this is not the last you'll be speaking to us. Take it easy, everybody.